Yo, what's up, guys? Lucky here, and today I want to talk about a fucking fantastic movie that just came out. So I saw Penguin's video, obviously, and when Penguins talks about a low-key hit, I go and watch right away. So he was talking about a horror movie that came out, and it was worth all the fucking hype. Now this movie isn't in every theater, so we have to go to a bigger place. So. As you can infer, you're probably gonna have to travel a little bit if you don't live in a city. But basically, the movie's called Hokum, and if you haven't heard about it, I mean, I sure didn't. Fucking, it's about a witch, and it's a horror movie, and basically, I won't get into spoilers yet. Later, I'll get into spoilers, but that's basically just the gist. Okay, this movie has a lot of symbolism, which I fucking love. Like in the movie Weapons, it had a lot of symbolism, and it adds more once you know and learn more about it. Now, this movie Hokum, it has the guy from Severance, blinking on his name, but I fucking love that actor. This is honestly like a 10 out of 10 movie. I'm not even gonna cap, no glazing. It actually scared me, and rarely movies do scare me. I mean, some of the jump scares do get me, but this one, you just feel eerie, and it's honestly what Long Legs should have been, what we got promised from Long Legs. And dude, Jesus, I mean, if you see the trailer, there's this donkey figure, and holy fuck, every time he's on screen, I get scared. Um, Try not to spoil much here, but I love the story and all the characters. I mean, you every single character that comes on screen, you don't instantly love, but you kind of connect, and everything feels so realistic that you actually get drawn into the movie. That's what I kind of like when once you start becoming, once you start realizing, oh, this could actually happen, this could be, this is kind of viable, I'm going to pay attention just in case this happens to me. That's kind of what I like to do. That's why I watch a lot of horror movies and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I want to, if I'm ever in this situation, I want to learn from it so I can, not die. But basically, there's these whole plot points. There's one about a book that the main character is writing because it's an author, which reminded me a lot of Alan Wake. And, you know, I'm not spoiling, but the real villain is kind of reminding of Mouthwash, if you've ever played that game or read a video essay by Wendy Goon, which is fantastic. I really recommend it. Um, but yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, also like just the hotel, like any video game or movie that makes you experience the actual place around. Like, I feel like I've been to this hotel after seeing this movie. I feel like I've been to this town. Not necessarily the town, because it mostly revolves around this hotel, but I feel like I went into the hotel, I stayed the night, I was there. I feel like I know the routes and pathways. I feel like the parties, the vibes, everything feels so reminiscent of a real place that I actually believe this exists. Um, and the whole layout of the building, like, just where things are and how they move around the place and how people use to get around, it's just crazy. I mean, I highly recommend this movie. It's a low key, it's a hit, and it's very underrated. It's gotten a lot of glaze because it's really good. Um, and I'm trying to see if there's what the internet was saying. Um, I think they were just complaining about the witch. I mean, I kind of see that. But it's just not what it is. It's not that kind of movie. It's not like a Saw or a Chainsaw Man. Not Chainsaw Man, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Stuff like that. It's not focused on. It's not a slasher. Like, what do you expect? But besides that, I'm gonna go into spoilers now. So this is your spoiler warning. Go watch it if you haven't. But I'm gonna go into themes, symbolism, and kind of explaining stuff how it is and how I interpreted it. So, like I said, I love the symbolism. So we start off with this author that goes into a hotel. We know nothing of him, but he's an asshole. So we instantly dislike the main character. Now, when he goes there, we are revealed that, well, at the beginning of the movie, let's start there, right? He's writing a book about a conquistador, back in the 1800s. I'm assuming, whatever, that's from my knowledge. And he's with his son, which I thought was just a random boy because it doesn't explain it. And also, his son only speaks Spanish, which is kind of weird. They find a red circle in the sand and they can't break the bottle. And the only solution the author seems deemed, because of his mindset at the moment, is that the father's gonna break the bottle on the kid's skull, because that's the only hard surface around this desert. And I'm assuming that that map, once they go to the circle, once they find the circle, that map will lead them from that circle, the start point, to where the treasure is. And right before he's about to smash it, the author sees a ghost, and this ghost is later revealed to be the mother of the main character. So at first I thought it was the witch, because we have no insight of what's going on, which is a little spooky. I'm not gonna lie. And so this his mother's ghost is just following him around, and then he goes to this town in Ireland, I suppose. I didn't know at the time. It was just a random town. Um, but later, by theorists or explainers, I found out that it was Ireland. So he goes to this town, and there's a bunch of weird people, and it's kind of like a murder mystery, almost, but we don't know that yet. The old man, the owner of the hotel, he is telling a story to these two kids that are twins, at the lobby, that they should not trust a witch. The witch shackles its victims, and then they get ripped into shreds by hands as she's taking them as prisoners. And the main actor just tells them to, hey, like, chill out, and tells the kids to leave, and him to leave the kids alone, which is later revealed to be. I'll wait for that. So then we follow the author talking to the one of the hotel employees, and it's a girl. I think her name was Violet or something like that. And then he gets a little tipsy and starts telling him how the book ends, and how his family relationships, and the main author then reveals that his dad became an alcoholic after his mother died because she got shot in the face by a little kid who should have been hung, but he was too young, which is himself. He does not reveal that to Violet, but she can assume, and everyone else can too, especially with later depictions of how he gets haunted. And then she shares information that there's a witch in the honeymoon floor, which is just a room, like a honeymoon suite in the hotel. And the author is also reveals that he's dumping the ashes of his parents by the tree where they took a picture, where they wanted to go, where they're the most happiest, until he screwed it up. But besides that, that's why our main character is here. And then we got the so then he that night he tries to, I'm just gonna say, like the other YouTuber I watched explain this, because it's very sensitive in YouTube. But let's just say he was hanging around, right? And then Violet gets the intuition to open the door, it saves him, and then he wakes up, and then it's been a month. He goes back to the hotel. It's off season, so everyone's leaving, and then he finds out that Violet's been missing since Halloween, so about a couple weeks. And so to pay her his respect back, he goes looking for her. He asks questions. They start saying that the crazy guy that he met in the woods is the one responsible, because his wife also went missing back when he started running away. So you know the main character is a little suspicious of the manager of the hotel, the son of the owner, because the owner has two sons. And then so the Crazy Pete, or whatever his name is, I'm just gonna call him Crazy Pete, and the main character, they go into they talk, and then he's like asking him questions, and then Crazy Pete tells him that he saw her and she was pointing at honeymoon when he was stealing meds. So they make a plan to go to the honeymoon suite. Crazy Pete already stole the key for the suite because it's locked off by the owner. But supposedly the owner trapped a witch in the honeymoon suite. I think I missed that part. But so then they go at midnight, and then the manager's brother, one of the owner's sons, um, knocks out Crazy Pete, strangles him out while he's I think he was looking for a weapon, and then takes wraps him up, takes him up on the back of his van, and he's gonna go take him to the cops. So then we got the main character who's alone at the hotel. He goes up to the honeymoon suite. He goes looping around. Everything's old, and the water's all fucking gross, and everything's just completely old and just untaken care of. Um, and this is where we find out that there is no witch up there. So he just drinks himself and passes out on the bed. So then the owner, or yeah, the manager comes up, and then he finds him in the bed, and then tells him that he's going crazy. There's nothing up there, and that Violet's just been missing by Crazy Pete. And then the main character finds a button, and he's like, "What is this?" And then the manager gets a little nervous, and then as soon as the main character presses it, the manager starts running away, and then he locks him up again. So now the main character is locked up here in the honeymoon suite after not finding anything. And while he's passed out, we see the bunny that's really fucking scary, dude. I wish he was in the movie a little bit more. Um, but you've probably seen him in the trailers a lot. And yeah, just fucking scary. And he's like making fun of him for grabbing the gun that his father had and shooting his mom in the face. And then that's when he wakes up. So as the elevator, the little shaft is coming up, the manager starts running away, locks him up, and then as is revealed that Violet is in this little elevator shaft, and she's dead. She has a Halloween costume. At first, you can assume it's a sacrifice, but later we find out by the voice recording that that Violet left behind, that the she had an affair with the manager, and the manager's married. So then we get a little cutscene or clip of him spiking her drink and then putting her in that elevator shaft and then hoisting her down. And she's pregnant, so Violet even said that she wouldn't tell anyone, she would keep the baby, but that made him mad. So that's probably his intention. um you know I wish they would have gone a little bit more dark with this. You could assume where I'm going, but this is actually a good story. Good, actual villain arc in the background that becomes the reality of it. That kind of pushes the whole story. It all comes kind of together nicely. So then he's trying to get away, and it's like a little puzzle because he's trapped, and the only things he has is that shaft, that elevator shaft that goes down to the basement, and he's locked from the door. All the windows are boarded up. There's a little hole where you can see a window. Oh, and that's what the internet was going off about. That why didn't he just break that window? So there's sheet metal in front of it. There's a little hole there, and the glass itself, it doesn't look realistic. And when he bangs on it, it sounds like plastic. I also thought the same, but my wife said that, pointed out when he was banging on the window, it sounded like plastic. So it's probably like bulletproof plastic or something in some way. Especially if the old man's trying to keep a witch in there. He probably wouldn't put fucking just, regular glass there. Let's be honest. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, the old man trapped this witch in the honeymoon suite because, revenge or something like that. Kind of just flirted with her and then teased her and then put her in here, kind of plotted this and betrayed her and kept her there. So then we're looking for intention, right? We don't see that later on. So as far as we go right now, the main character goes down the elevator shaft, and there's this clock with a little kid that has a bat, and he hits the bell every like 31 hour, every hour, I'd say. So he thinks about this because it's a one-way elevator shaft, and the girl would have pressed it to come up, and try to save herself, but there's no button down there, obviously. So what he does is he breaks the bell off, puts the little clock figure, and so then the boy with the bat hits the button at a timely position matter. I don't really know what time. It doesn't really specify. I'm sure if you look at the clock and you can deduce it. But he puts a timer on his watch, and then he goes down there. It's a dungeon, just bricks, long hallway. There's a couple stuff dangling down. He sees a wall that's supposed to be the exit, but it's bricked up and covered. And there's also like a diagram, like a little drawing. I don't really know what that means yet. But then the lights start coming down, and his intuition himself tells him that something's coming. The lights start turning off, so he starts running back to the elevator shaft. And then he also picks up a chalk from the floor that he found. And at this point, everyone's screaming, hey, fucking draw a line, draw a line, draw a circle around the shaft. Which I don't know if that would have worked. I'm assuming so. But as soon as his timer clicks, it just builds up all this, thrill, all this intention, and then he's waiting for the bellboy to hit it, which the witch kind of messes with, I feel like. And then as soon as the boy hits it, it's kind of like 1 minute delayed. He sees the witch, just the face appear right in front of the elevator shaft, and as he's coming up, the bellboy hits it again, and then it starts coming down again, and it builds all this tension, and then he looks down, and at this point everyone's thinking like, hey, get the fucking bellboy out, get the bad boy out of position so it doesn't hit the button again, so she doesn't come up. But then you see just this witch crawling up the fucking dungeon, and it's just scary, dude. It just gives you shock. Comes up, and then the guy's running around. He goes behind to the bathroom and then locks that door, and then he goes to the main living room area. So this is the bedroom, this is the bathroom, and it's connected to the living room. He locks the living room door, and there's glass between the bathroom and the living room, and there's also like a tall glass section on top of the door. He's being followed by the witch. So then we see her shadow in the bathroom, and then we're like, holy fuck. And then he looks on top of the door, and we just see a little glimpse of her. Just imagine this. This is the scene, right? This is the top of the door, and she just goes like, whoo, whoo. Dude, it's so fucking funny, but it was so scary. And then we're like, holy shit. And then she goes to the bathroom, opens the door from a shattered window, opens the bathroom door. So she goes, opens it, and then he runs to the bed. Yeah, that's right. He starts drawing a circle around the bed, and then he just lays on the bed. And then we see the witch trying to get in, and fucking, we just see the witch's face behind. It's like this big king size bed, and there's like sheets around it, so it's covering outside with like white sheets, but they're transparent a little bit. And we just see the witch's face like just spawn right there in front of him. So he just passes out. Morning comes, the witch is gone. I guess the witch hates sun. Goes back to the basement, and then Crazy Pete escapes from the cop, or not the cop, the other manager escapes from the van, and then he gets the main character's car, and then he goes in. He's all bloodied up, and then he starts talking to the manager, and then this is where the main character wakes up and sees the car. So then he starts ringing the bell, like it's like a call, for assistance or like food. It's like a bellboy thing, and then it starts ringing, but then Crazy Pete's already outside and he's about to leave, so he starts banging the window, and that's when Crazy Pete closes the door so he doesn't hear him, and then he goes back inside to talk to the manager, and he's like, my dad taught me if something's not right, then it probably isn't. So then the main character breaks the button. So then he starts kicking the wall, and then he starts pulling the wires from inside the wall, and that's when Crazy Pete sees it ringing, and then he grabs the bow and starts pointing it at the guy, and then he's like, "All right, you're gonna let me in, or else." And then the manager's trying to explain himself. He's like, "Oh, you don't know what my father would do to me if he finds out. I mean, you don't even know Violet. You never met her. She was a crazy woman." And Crazy Pete's just walking up to the, like, just unbothered, just walking up to the suite, and then that's when we find out that the manager had a picture, and in this picture, it reveals something. It reveals his whole family, and in this family, we see two boys. Himself and his brother that we've already met, his father, his mother, and then we see a little boy and a little girl. What this imposes is that the father that was saying the story of to the kids was actually his personal story about his two kids that got taken by the witch. So he had a vendetta against the witch, probably made her fall in love, trapped her into the honeymoon suite, and locked her up. So that's just all, it's all connecting, bro. And I fucking love the symbolism. Um, and so as soon as he goes up, Crazy Pete goes in there, breaks the door, starts screaming at the main character, and the main character says that the manager killed Violet, and that's when it's revealed to Crazy Pete that the friend that he knew, Violet, was killed by the guy that he was. So he gets enraged, and as he's opening the door, the manager comes and shoots him with a bow and just goes, back here. So then the main character is stuck, and as the manager was also, devising, he put a blanket on a heater so it would catch on fire and burn the hotel. And that this is how much he wants to keep the secret from his wife and his parents, or his dad. So then, uh, what the main character does, instead of hiding and just like in a wacky way trying to fight him off, even though this guy has a bow, which is still dangerous, he goes down to the basement. Um, as soon as we see, the guy follows him, and then he draws a circle around him, and before he does, he's too late. We see the witch's face, and it's not implied what happened yet, but when the manager comes down there, he gets shackled by the witch, and then he's asking like, "What's going on? What's going on? I don't know what's going on." And the main character is just totally defeated, completed, just in a fetal position, and that's where we find out that he's given up. But then he gets a flashback from his mom, and he's like, "Oh, dear son, I love you so much, but this is not where you die. You have to get out of here. You have to get out." And when the manager gets pulled into the room, that's when his fear strikes, and then that's where we learn that he's been shackled too. So then he pulls out like a tool just to take off the chains. He manages to take it off and starts printing up. He gets out of there, and once he hits the hotel, he sees that everything's on fire, passes out. Then the brother's manager comes, saves him, pulls him out. Then we wake up. We wake up with him in a hospital bed again, and he's, you know, he survived again. We're greeted by the guy that he made fun of, which was one of his fans at the bar. Also, one of the hotels characters, and we discover that character was mad at him for making fun of him, so he spiked his drink with Crazy Pete's like mushroom, mushroom thing, whatever. So it kind of plays to the role of everything that he saw was fake, or was it real? Because he was drinking that flask all night and he was laced. So kind of just plays with that. But also, Crazy Pete told him that the unseen eye does not see stuff like this, and non-believers will not see it unless you open that eye with the mushrooms. So that begs the question: is the witch real or not? I believe it is. I believe the ghosts that he saw, the hallucinogenics that he saw were, and that intuition that he got was a help from the drink itself. But I mean, it just, it reminds me of mouthwash because it also kind of implies that this one person who's up, one of the supervisors or top people is having relations with a girl, but it's not with permission. So he tries to hide that. So he, sabotages the whole truck, space truck, to kind of get rid of that. So I kind of like revolving stories around that, especially when it's underlying and we start finding that out later on, like kind of half point of the movie or series or game or whatever. But it's pretty good, Doesn't touch base too much with the witch. I wish they showed the donkey, mascot a little bit more because he was fucking creepy as shit. But I think it's just 10 out of 10 movie. I maybe even drop it down to 9.5 just cause there wasn't enough of this, but it was actually really, you kind of were rooting for everyone to come out through it, and just I wish they kind of showed the repercussions and a little bit more of the backstory. But honestly, I think they did a great job. So if you haven't watched it already, go watch it, and I'll see you later. Peace.